Hello and welcome to me finally making the video that I've been meaning to make for around 5 weeks, and that video is my streaming bag. So, as anyone who follows me and subscribes to me is more than aware by now, I do a lot of streaming on Twitch. I've been doing it for about 2 years now. Pretty scary how time flies, but let's not dwell on that. And when I started, it was simply a case of basic camera position, basic light, microphone, start, off you go. But as time goes on, and as a pandemic hit and all that kind of stuff, all that kind of great stuff that everyone's had to endure for the last year and a half, I started to get creative, I started to get more pretentious. I mean, maybe I wouldn't call it pretentious. Let's just go for creative. Let's just go for creative. I bought a lot more stuff, a lot more toys, a lot more gear, and I decided, sorry, I'm just shuffling this around on the table here. This bag encapsulates everything I use to stream. Okay, hang on, let's start from the ground up. The camera, the Sony A7III that I'm currently, I'll put this down. The Sony A7III that I'm currently looking at, that is the camera I use for streaming, and that goes through various bits of kit that are in this bag. The PC has to be there for the gaming side of things, and the actual streaming is handled from the MacBook Pro, right? So my MacBook Pro that I've had for a few years, everything that makes the magic happen is now in this bag. So let's actually get to it, because that's the whole point of this video. So if you can imagine, things start with the PC, which is attached to 2 monitors, which I do whether I'm in the studio or I'm in the house. This thing is chunky. I could probably use with 10% more space, but I don't want to go any bigger than this until I absolutely have to. And there are a few extra pieces of spare things that I'll get into in a minute. It's packed to the gills, literally. It's just packed to the gills. Do folks still use that phrase? Let's clip it open. Oh, it's still zipped. Yeah, is that going to focus? Look at that. It's the top of the pile, baby. That's the cherries on top. This wire goes into the MacBook, into the headphone and mic jack, which splits here. Look, it's a split cable. So it goes 2 ends into one, into the MacBook. The output side is for the audio from the MacBook, which goes to a small mixer, which I'll show you soon. And the input port here is from a microphone going in, which is this bad boy. So this, as you can see, is a rolled up lav mic that clips. That simply clips right onto my chest, right here. You get audio. There's a ridiculous 10-meter cable. I think it's 10 meters. If it's not 10 meters, I think it actually might be 6 meters. Plenty of space to get far away from it if I'm doing VR. This is my 2TB drive just for PC game downloads. For when I want to download games and when I want to move stuff around, I use the 2TB drive. So the next thing, I'm just pulling this out in order, by the way, so there's absolutely no rhyme or reason to this other than the order that I throw it in. There's a very vague order to it, but not really. The next thing is a USB 2 4-port hub, right? And that goes onto an extension cable, a USB 2 extension. Now what this does, this houses the receiver for my mouse, and I don't know what that one's for. So yeah, that's that, simple. 2 extra peripherals, plug a steering wheel in with my pedals, plug a game controller in there, we're good to go. That just goes to one USB 2 in the back of the PC, happy days. The next thing, dead simple, this takes the audio from the headphone jack to the PC, takes it out to the mixing desk, which I'll show you in a second, as I keep saying, and that means I can mix the audio for the headphones. This is just a backup keyboard and mouse for when I want to do remote control stuff, shaped like a little fat Batman logo. And yeah, little touchpad, basic keyboard, very simple, just for when you're lazy, sit on the couch and you don't want to use a mouse, just use that. Gaming mouse, yes. LED, of course. What's this brand again? Begins with a T. Does it? I think it begins with a V. I can't remember, but it's a very good mouse. It replaced a Logitech mouse that I had for years, and I'm much happier with that one. 2 Ethernet cables, dead simple. One for the MacBook, one for the PC. That goes into the hub, router, whatever you call it, whether I'm in the studio or whether I'm in the house. Easy. Next out the bag, we have the power for a USB 3 hub, which has a USB-C connector that goes to the MacBook. Now, so far, the only thing this really houses is the dongle for the camera capture. So this little thing here, which is kind of like a fake Elgato type thing, just just drop that on the table, that's probably fine. So yeah, that goes in there, dead simple. It's always the other way around, isn't it? You never get it right, you never get it right the first time. That goes in there. The camera input comes from here. Micro HDMI from the camera that I'm currently on, remember, into a standard HDMI port that plugs in there if it will line up. And there you go, camera to that, to this, and that gives you the camera capture. The Elgato Cam Link, of course. Now I bought this recently and I'm really happy with it because everything else would kind of flake out on me, wouldn't really work properly when I was trying to get the game capture from the PC or whatever it may be. But this little Cam Link did the job. Got a really good second-hand deal on that. Happy days, no problem. That goes into a little USB-C converter, which goes straight into the MacBook. Now, if you're keeping score, you currently realise that I've taken up 2 USB-C ports on the MacBook. One for the camera, one for the Elgato for the game capture. The other 2 are for this. It is a USB 3 hub, but I only use it for the Ethernet port. So the Ethernet adapter there goes to the Ethernet cable, goes to the hub, the router, whatever. And then that simply goes, because it's an older one with a USB-C, with a USB 3, I put on the adapter and it goes to USB-C. And that is 3 ports taken up on the MacBook. The 4th, power, simply power. So that's all the ports, that's everything into the MacBook already. Now look how full that bag still is. There's still a bit more treasure here. This honking great power supply is for the Behringer mixer that is here. This actually takes up about a quarter, these 2 together take up about a quarter of the whole bag. It's crazy. This big brick thing, what a pain. So, the Behringer Xenix 502 takes all of the inputs I need, which is 2 right now. It could take a third. I could figure out another reason why I need a third. But basically, if you remember, the audio from the MacBook and the audio from the PC, they both come to here, stereo pair, and I can balance that so I can hear. Basically, the only reason I really need to hear the MacBook audio is when I'm checking levels coming in through OBS Studio, or if I'm checking things like, you know, alerts. I use that for the alerts that I get during a live stream for subs, follows, etc. So it means I can have that all comfortably as a separate audio. Desk is getting a little bit unwieldy here with all this stuff on it. I'll do a little time lapse of me putting everything back in, by the way. And if I remember, I'll try and list everything in the description, but I probably don't need to. You get the gist. Now, the reason I structured things as I did in the bag is because everything that you've just seen is the standard stuff that I need for streaming and doing anything like that in the house, right? So that's the house. So if you look there, we're quite close to the bottom now. I'd say we're just under a third of the bag there left. The stuff at the bottom of the bag is extras and spares. So when I'm in the studio, I need 2 HDMI leads. Basic, simple, 2 HDMI leads. And that's because I need to use this HDMI splitter because I have all that stuff permanently set up in the house. But when I'm in the studio here, everything just needs to be kind of pulled apart and put back together. As does most of the stuff in the house, by the way. Everything that you've seen so far, all of that needs to get set up and torn down every single time I do a stream. Not even kidding. Everyone, all you people out there that have got a gaming setup in a spare room, in your bedroom and all that, we've got a kid, we've got a 3-year-old son, we've got a small house and everything is just chaos. I would love that setup, but no, I have to use the living room. I don't hate it, it's fun. I set it up, I tear it down. You'll learn a lot when you have to plug things in and out 1,000 times. That's how I got to this point, with 1,000 cables. The next thing in the bag, spare HDMI cable, little USB 3 extensions for various reasons. I've got a few of those. I think there's 3 USB 3 extensions, 2 short ones and a longer one. That's just in case I want to get, you know, dongles to reach further, that kind of thing. And then a simple 3.5 audio jack cable, which I'm not sure, I can't remember why I needed this lately, but I needed this for something. This. Just for when I'm in the studio and I want to use a controller. I've also got the PS5 controller and I've got the Xbox controller, all that stuff, but I've got this. This is good because it fits in the bag and it's just portable. Emergency controller for everything, including the Switch. And of course, the keyboard that I like to use. I did love my mechanical keyboard that I bought years ago, a gaming thing, but it's since been superseded by the Logitech K380. Now yes, it's a wireless keyboard and it's not supposed to be for gaming, but I love the way this keyboard feels. And the best feature for me see these little grey keys at the top here, is because it connects to 1, 2, 3 devices at the same time, more or less. You press 1 and it instantly connects to the one you paired it with, 2, 3, etc. So I've got it set up gaming PC, iPad, MacBook. It means I can have one keyboard in front of me and everything's connected, and I can just, honestly, this thing's great. There's probably other things like this. If you're lucky, you can find this for about 30 quid online. Honestly, if you're looking for a convenient keyboard that you can connect to 3 devices at once, this is it. I needed that functionality. Not everyone does, but hey. So there you go. The bag is empty. Are we ready for a time lapse of putting everything back in? That is possibly one of the worst ways I've ever packed this, but it's packed. So, the streaming bag. That's everything I need to stream. You've seen how everything goes together. I've explained how and why I have the pieces that are in it. It's dead simple. If you've got any questions about the setup, I'm more than happy to answer every and any one. And you want to see all this stuff in action, come and see me on twitch.tv/Shapesy. And I stream several days a week, sometimes at night, sometimes during the day. But that doesn't matter because wherever you are in the world, it'll be a different night and day anyway. Life and all its treasures, and I don't know what I'm saying. I'll see you in the next video. Got some cool stuff coming up. Bye!